Hello, Alan. And hello, Ashley. Let's see. Okay. Let me get this set up. Janet's on. All right. So today we're talking about, let me make sure this is on. Should be. Yep. Today we're talking about the last four measures of the audition material. So you guys can take a look at that. This is the one that's the most difficult rhythmically because there's lots of different 16th notes, and a lot of our sixth graders have not covered 16th symphonic band, and you kind of struggle with 16th notes too. This might be a good idea for you to check out as well. How that works for you guys. If you're on YouTube, you won't be able to, or sorry, if you're on, if you're on, hello, Adrian, Instagram, you won't be able to see this. So you can hop over to our YouTube channel. All right. So most of us, hi, Alex. Most of us have a pretty good idea, and hello, Axel. Have a pretty good idea of eighth notes and things like that. You guys feel pretty comfortable with it. But just to review, this is counting chart like number 12 or 11, around there. It's the first one that introduces 16th notes. All right, so we have a measure full of eighth notes. It'd be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Really easy, okay? Now, the biggest issue with 16th notes is that all those things that we just typed out, or I just wrote out, thank you, all those, we have 1, skip this note, here's our and. Skip this note, here's our 2. Skip that note, here's the and. Skip that note, here's our 4 right here. Skip that note in the counting section that we do, okay? We do 1. On the second one, after the 1, after each beat, we say E. After the and, we say There's a few other counting systems out there, like 1T Tata, which is pretty good too. But this is what we use currently in Rogers. Okay, so you're gonna say, instead of 1 and 2, and it'll be 1E and a 2, 1E and a. It's pretty quick. 3E and 4E and So 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E and okay. It's really not too bad. And in my opinion, hey Will, in my opinion, 16th notes are a little bit easier. Hey Omar, are a little bit easier than some other rhythms that we've been doing. Okay, so I don't know if you guys can hear that or not. It's probably a little quiet. But you've got in the second measure 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. Okay, right on the beat. All the numbers have to land on the beat. If you count the next two measures, let me kick this down a little bit. You've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a. Just like that. For an example, this is part of our audition material, which, let me see if I can find that. On the audition material, you can see we use this rhythm, the 4/16 notes, on the third measure and the last four measures. Okay, right at the beginning. Not hard. We're not going to spend a whole lot of time on this part of it. But you also need to know it. 16th notes get used a lot. The only time they're not used a whole lot is like low brass people, trombones, tubas, stuff like that. All right. If you look at the second line of this count, E, then and, then Okay. The rest of it, this is what beat? It's going to be beat 2. 2 and 3 and 4. Okay. Again, if you're on Instagram, you can check us out on the YouTube channel. So check it out. That's fine. She can catch back up with anything that she saw before, but she talking about Molly. Okay, so there's that. As an example, you have 1 E and a 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, just like that. I guess I was right. My brain was on autopilot typing that out. Okay. Same thing here. 1 E and a 2 and 3 and 4. Now, look at this measure 3. Go ahead and think about how to count measure 3 on your own. Okay, so if you said 1 and 2 E and 3 and 4, you're correct. Okay, the 16th notes are on beat 2. The rest of it stays pretty simple for us. Okay, same thing here. Okay, all right, let's look at line 3. We've got 4/8 notes at the beginning, 1 and 2 and, like we always have. Then beat 3, we've got 3 E and a, and then 4. This is lying on, sorry, be consistent. This is on beat 3, 3 E and a. Okay. Same thing in measure 2 on line 3. Measure 3 on line 3, you have 1 and 2 and 3 and then 4 E and a. Now they're on beat 4. Okay, there's an example for you. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you guys a little bit of time right now. Set our metronome. Hopefully you guys can hear this. I'm going to turn it a little slower. You guys can just go ahead and look at the last line, line 4, and try to count it on your own. Okay. That's okay. You can just hop on a different account or something like that. Or just log out and join as a guest, Grayson. All right, let's try line 4 together. Ready? 1 and 2 and ready and go. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and 4. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 E and a 4 E and a 1 and 2 and 3 E and a 4 E and a. Pretty easy, combining 2 sets of 16th notes on beat 1 and 2 in the first 2 measures and beat 3 and 4 in the next 2 measures. Yeah, Omar, can you see the stream? Okay. Let's see. All right. So there's that. Those are just regular 16th notes. Let's see. I think I have to erase this to shrink it. I don't know. Oh, there it goes. Okay. All right. So those 16th notes are pretty easy. Okay. When you start combining 16th notes with 8th notes as a partner, that's when it gets a little bit tricky. Okay. So I want you to look at just a half of a beat. Okay. So 2 quarters will fit into the half. So the and looks like ta. Okay. 1, 3, and 4. When you count this, you've got 1 and a 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, pretty easy. But you got to make sure that when you're counting that, when it has an 8th note and then 2 16th notes, you got to make sure that you are holding out that first note for the full half beat. Okay, don't jump ahead on the and. The and stays the same. It's on the upbeat as well. So if you're tapping your foot, you're able to follow that. 1 and a 2 and 3 and 4. Same thing with second measure. Ready and count. 1 and a 2 and 3 and 4. Good. Look at measure 3 and 4. figure out what are you going to count for the measure 3 and 4 of this line. Okay, hopefully kind of figured it out. I'm going to count it. You can tell me if you're right. Ready and go. 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4. Hopefully that was right from what you guys were doing. I'm disconnected on Instagram. Okay, so you did 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4. That little eighth note thing, 16th note, eighth note thing happens on beat 2 in this measure. Okay, we still hold out to the beat, the number, and then we continue on with the and after it. Okay, let's look at line 2. You have 1 and 2 and this is on beat 3 and 4. So 1 and 2 and 3 and a 4. Be careful not to say E. I have a few people that try to do that, okay? Same thing in the second measure. Look at measure 3 and measure 4. Measure 3 and 4, that rhythm that we're talking about happens on beat 4. So we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and a. To wait till the very end. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and Okay, look at line 3. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of time to kind of figure that on your own with a metronome. I don't know, can you guys hear the metronome? And if you're looking through it, you're thinking, okay, here's beat 1, here's beat 2, this is beat 1, this is beat 2, this is beat 3, because we have 1 and 2 and. This is beat 4, again, beat 3 and beat 4. Okay, I'm going to count those, and you can count it with me. 1 and 2 and ready and go. 1 and a 2 and a 3 and 4. 1. A little bit tricky when you start doing a lot of them. So it might be a good idea to rewind the video, go back and kind of practice that some more, okay? Because it's going to be a little bit tricky, but once you get used to it, it's actually really fun. I like it. I like these rhythms. Okay, so there's that. Again, you can pause the video once you go back, like once the live stream is over, you can go back and watch the video if you need more practice. And you can pause it and rewind it and stuff like that. Can you tell I'm old because I said rewind? That doesn't happen anymore. Okay. There's one other combination that we're covering today of eighth notes and 16th notes. Okay. And people tend to typically get them confused. They get what we just covered, the one andas, confused with this one, which is just reverse. It's just the opposite of it. Okay. So if we look at the first measure on the first line, this will be easier to teach in person, I think, because I could get some feedback from you guys. But I'm just kind of going to go over it, and you guys can ask questions if you need to in the chat. But this is beat 1, as always. But it's a 16th note. And the second note is a 16th note. So if you think about how we approached our 4 16th notes together, we have 1 E and a. Because the first two are 2 16th notes, we have 1 E. What is this eighth note going to be? Okay, if you said and, that's right. Okay, 1 E and. The last 16th note of the beat is inside of that eighth note. An eighth note can hold 2 16ths. Okay, so you have 1 E and. It's a quick thing. 1 E and. 1 E and. You have to say 1 E and then the and as you guys are hitting that upbeat on your tapping for the foot tapping. Okay, so 1 E and. To continue the measure, 2 and 3 and 4. 1 E and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, pretty easy. You can go back and practice that if you need to. In measure 3 and 4, think about what you're going to count for that. Go ahead and think about it. Okay, if you said 1 and 2 E and 3 and 4, you're correct. Okay, that's what you're shooting for. This rhythm is on beat 2 now. Still the same thing, 2 E and. 1 and 2 E and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 E and 3 and 4. Not too bad. Okay, let's look at line 2. We have 1 and 2 and. Now this one's a little bit different visually from the previous counting chart because the 4/8 notes are grouped together. Okay, so for those of you in beginning band, just to clarify, because I always have a few people who are a little confused by it. When you just see the 1 bar, that's just 8th notes. Okay, you can bar 4/8 notes together, 2/8 notes together. You can do more in some other key signatures, but that's the main thing. Okay, so there's 1 and 2 and on beat 3 we have our new rhythm, 3 E and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 E and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 E and 4. I typically have some people when they count this rhythm, they try to sneak in an at the end of this. Not very many people, but they do. They'll go like 1 and 2 and 3 E and a 4. It's like it's easier, it rolls off the tongue more, but you have to stop on the and. 3 E and 4 and kind of emphasize it. Okay, look at the last two measures of this line, measure 3 and 4 of line 2. Think about how you're going to count that. Okay. Hello, William. All right, so if you did 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and, you're right. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and. Now they didn't bar these 6/8 notes together because there's this unspoken rule in music that can make it to where the performer can see beat 3, then you should make it to where they can see beat 3 visually. So beat 3 is separated from beat 1 and 2. Okay, so 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and. Okay, now we're going to combine multiple beats of it. I don't know if we'll do the rest of this, but this one, we have beat 1, we have beat 2, beat 1, beat 2. This is what I'm thinking about when I look at them. 1 and 2 and 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Okay, so I'll give you guys a chance to count that on your own. Line 3. Go ahead. All right, count it together. Ready? 1 and 2 and line 3, go. 1 E and 2 E and 3 and 4. 1 E and 2 E and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 E and 4 E and. 1 and 2 and 3 E and 4 E and. Just like that. Okay. If you want to right now, go ahead and look at line 4. Go and count that on your own. It's okay. We're on YouTube too. All right, let's count it together. Line 4, 1, check your work, and ready, and go. 1 E and 2 and 3 E and 4. 1 E and 2 and 3 E and 4. 1 and 2 E and 3 and 4 E and. 1 and 2 E and 3 and 4 E and. Just like that. All right. So now that's that rhythm segment, the 1 E ands. We've covered the 1 E and a. We've covered the 1 and a. We've covered the 1 E and that's it. There are no other combinations that we're going to cover today for your 16th notes. You can do a 16th note, 8th note, 16th note, but that's a little complicated. We're not going to get into that. Now, if you want to, if you don't have your counting chart, I'm going to pull this up so you guys can look at it. This tempo, Jaylee, this tempo is 80 beats a minute is what we're working on right now. We're not technically up to tempo on the audition piece, and my goal for the audition piece is that you guys play it as comfortable as you can. That's it. It says 100 beats a minute. That's probably the fastest you need to go with it. All right. So I'm going to leave this up here. If you guys want to pause the video when you come back to it to like rewatch it or whatever, just to kind of look through this and see if you can count it. Okay. I'm going to count like the first, let's see. Yeah, I'll count it. You can count it with me. I'll count the whole thing. All right. Ready? Beginning. This is chart 12.75. 1 and 2 and ready, beginning. 1 and 2, E and a 3 and 4, E and a 1 and 2 and a 3 and 4 and a 1. Oh, I messed up. Measure 3, 2 and ready and go. 1 E and a 2 and a 3 and 4. 1 and a 2 and a 3 E and a 4 and 1, 2, 3 and a 4 and 1 and a 2, 3 E and a 4 and 1 and a 2 and 3 E and a 4 and a 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and a stop. Okay, so that's the first two lines. I kind of hesitated a little bit at measure 3 and made a mistake. So we're only dealing in the first two lines, we're only dealing with 4 16th notes together, or the 1 andas, 2 andas, 3 andas. Okay, so that might help you out a little bit when you're looking at this. If you feel like this is too fast or whatever, like I said, pause the video, go measure by measure and count it. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to spend too much time on the video and making the video even longer. But do it slowly, one measure at a time, making sure you're thinking about what you're going to count. 9 times out of 10, if you're having trouble with this, it's literally just because you're not familiar with it. You just need more practice with it. You need to practice a little bit more on identifying it and knowing what to say before you get there. Okay. If you look at line 3 and line 4, you've got the 1 and 2 E and a 3 and 4 E and a. Then measure 10, you got 1 and 2 E and 3 and 4 E and. Now we're flipping it. We're on the 2 E and, 3 E and. Okay. So it'd be good practice for you to spend some time on it, spend some time on the page, because it's a really good, valuable resource for you guys. All right, with our last couple minutes here, we're going to get an audition material. The last 4 measures of it. Here's everybody's parts. Hopefully you can see them okay. Make it a little bit bigger if I can. Okay. And let's look at the counting. The first measure is going to be very similar to the very first measure of the entire audition piece. Okay. We have that dotted quarter note again. So we have 1. There's 3 inflections, the down, up, down. 1 and. There's our and of beat 2. Beat 2 is all in here because of the dot. We've already talked about that in our classes. 1 and 3 and 4. Okay, now first let's look at the second measure. This is measure 10 of the audition material. Let's identify the beats. We have beat 1. We have beat 2. Okay, this is all one beat. This is all one beat. And our last, we have beat 3 and beat 4. Is this the 1 andas or is this the 1 and? And you can identify that by the first note. Is it an 8th note or a 16th note? Okay, it's an 8th note, so it's going to be a full half a beat 1. The next 2 notes, and I got different colors here. 2 and so 1 and a 2 and a 3, 4. Staccatos there on beat 3 and beat 4. 1 and a 2 and a 3, 4. Ta 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 ta. If you're airplaying and tawing, okay. Not too bad. I kept it pretty consistent. This measure is consistent with the rhythm. It's mixing them up on you, okay? In the next measure, oh yeah, there's our 1E and a. Okay, this is beat 2 and. Oops, sorry. That was not right. 1E and a 2 and. Then this is beat 3. Is this our 1 and a, or is this our 1E and? Again, look at the first note. Is it a 16th note or 8th note? Oh, it's a 16th note followed by another 16th note. So it's the 1E and. In this case, 3E and. Let's see, what did I do for? I'll do 1, 3E and we finish it out with the 4 and. 1E and a 2 and 3E and 4 and. A lot of people tend to miss this rhythm because they try to play it like these. Okay, make the first 2 notes pretty quick when you're playing them. 1E and a 2 and 3E and 4 and. Okay, or if you're tawing, ta 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 ta. Really crisp, everything's staccato, and if it's not staccato, it's like 16th notes. It's pretty quick. This last measure, I don't want to get too far into it because I usually spend a little bit of time in class, like having you guys figure this out. But this is called a triplet. You beat 1, and triplet is a little bit weird. They're called 2, la, li, and then you have a beat 3, 3. So 1, 2, la, li, 3. A triplet is 3 notes that happen in one beat. So if you're thinking about the beat, dot, 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 triplet feels like this. Dot, 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 dot. If you think kind of 3/4 time, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's the feel of the triplet. That measure's pretty easy. Same note, as long as you can get ta, 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 ta. You're good. Okay, so let's try to count the whole line at this tempo. 1, 2, and ready, and go. 1 and 3 and 4. 1 and a 2 and a 3, 4. 1E and a 2 and 3E and 4 and 1, 2, la, li, 3. Okay, if you need to go back and cover some of those measures, just do them repeatedly, like measure 2. I'm just going to count that a couple times. Ready, and go. 1 and a 2 and a 3, 4. Again, measure 2. Ready, and go. 1 and a 2 and a 3, 4. Okay, let's ta an airplay. Ready, and go. Ta, 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 ta. Okay, look at measure 3. Count it. Ready, and go. 1E and a 2 and 3E and 4 and. Again, and go. 1E and a 2 and 3E and 4 and. Some of you guys may have trouble with that because it's hard to say. Like you're not used to saying all of those words together. So just kind of get used to it. Do some practicing with it. Go back to those counting charts and try to feel comfortable with it. Ta and airplay, measure 3. Ready, and go. Ta 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 ta. Notes aren't too bad. You guys should all pretty much familiar with those notes. Okay. Last measure, we got 1, 2, la, li, 3. Airplay, ta that. Ready, and go. Ta, 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 ta. Hold all the way out to the next beat 1 of the next measure. Okay. So other things with this exercise and the last 4 measures, this one is the one that really pushes people on their range. Okay. Most of you guys, if you're in 6th grade and you play a brass instrument, you might not be able to play 2 or 3 notes in this. Okay. And that's okay. And just to point out some of the notes that you might not be able to play. See the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, the 4th note, that high F in the horns and the trumpets. Let's see. I think, yeah, trumpets up here. High F. That's a little bit tricky. Okay. Woodwinds might not have too big of a problem with it. The biggest thing is going to be getting our fingers down. Clarinets, it's crossing the break. Okay. Flutes, it's getting up to that high E flat. We've covered that. It's everything pushed down. But It's tricky. Trombones, it's our high C up here, I'm sorry, high E flat. My bad. Tubas, it's our high E flat as well. Okay, that's tough. And then mallets, I don't know if you've seen that high E flat or not. You may have. Okay, in the percussion section. So try your best with it. Try to overshoot it. See if you can hit it. If you don't hit it, that's not too big of a deal right now if you're in 6th grade. That's not a make or break situation. If you get everything else down except for that high, what's called a concert E flat, if you get that everything else down, you're in a good position. You've really learned this stuff and you just got to work on your range, and that will come with age and getting used to it. Okay. Rhythmic wise, you know, second and third measure is kind of tough. Really slow it down and really work on it. Okay. Last measure is not hard as long as you can feel that triplet. Okay. See if there's anything else. Horns. If you're watching this, horns, this note should be an E natural. I didn't change that. All your E's should be E natural. Okay. Same thing with this one too. If for some reason you accidentally play an E flat, I probably won't count that against you if it's printed wrong in your part. But we'll see. Okay. All right. Yeah, that's all I can think of right now. I think, yeah, if you spend some time on it, try not, again, don't stress about that high note. Just try your best with it and see what you can do. Okay. Does anybody have a question in the chat or anything like that? If you're on Instagram, all the stuff YouTube, this won't have everything on it. Okay. Yeah. Trying to keep no, okay. Trying to keep Tuesday and Thursday a little bit simple, but yeah. Just go into there, check it out. Thank you, Ashley. I don't know what that means. Check it out and then see what you guys can do. Okay, practice on it, build it up. Your test, I think, is due technically next week, next Friday. So if you're working on this, my plan is right now we're covering the rhythm stuff mostly today. We'll do a little bit more practice stuff with it on Thursday. Next week, we'll be building everything into it with the dynamics and whatnot and get some reps in together. And then Thursday, same type of thing, making sure you guys feel comfortable with it. And then Friday, if you're catching this, right now, on Friday, we'll probably do some more music theory stuff type thing. Maybe do a tour. I'm trying to find a little neat tour thing that we can do too. Okay. So anyway, that's it. If you don't have any questions, you're always welcome to email me if you come up with a question while you're working on it. Okay. And I will see you guys later. Have a great day.